Oh, hello everyone. It is Kenyon here, Basketball Rewind. I am back and joined again by Beyond the Locker Room, Coach Roach. Like, comment, and subscribe on your way in or on your way out. If you like this content, leave a like, as I said. If you don't like it, leave a comment. If you really, really like it, subscribe, comment, and leave a like. With that being said, we've paid some bills, proverbially. Yeah, not really, but yeah. We're in for an interesting show because usually around this time, Zach Lowe has his State of the Union. But Zach Lowe is not really doing the Zach Lowe show right now. So we're going to kind of give you some sort of version of the State of the Union in honor of Zach Lowe.
No post, baby.
Yes.
One of the best podcast days of all time for a sports show.
Absolutely. So, it really is. The Raptors this week, before we get into brass tacks, the Raptors this week, they faced some teams. We saw the return of Scotty for another week. We faced the Chicago Bulls and we faced the Brooklyn Nets. Did we win a game, guys?
Ooh.
Okay. We did not win a game, people. We are now closer to Washington than we are to the play-in.
Tank Nation is rolling.
Tank Nation is rolling. Now, I am not looking at the other scores for tonight. I don't know if it was a good or bad, Tank watch night. However, I think that New Orleans is actually up right now as we're talking. So, if New Orleans, gets a win, they get one game closer. If that's what you're cheering for. We just witnessed an interesting game, but before we get into that, let's just quickly zoom ahead as well. This upcoming week, Raptors do their yearly Boxing Day special, but before that, we are going to face the Knicks after just getting a loss against the Houston Rockets, which we will definitely get into very shortly. After Christmas, on the Boxing Day, we will be facing the Memphis Grizzlies, and then we end the week off against the Hawks. I like the fact that these are East Coast games, a little earlier in the in the evening, so I get to kind of go to bed earlier, and my eyes stop looking as red as they do because I actually get a bit more sleep. Beyond, how are you doing first and foremost before we get into it and we talk about the Houston Rockets game or any game this week that you want to talk about, and then we'll go on to Coach Roach.
Hey man, it's the Yuletide season, so I'm enjoying it. Usually have eggnog in one hand, maybe a candy cane in the other. I'm good, man. I am looking forward to it to see who's been naughty and nice for the next few minutes that we discuss for the Raptors' sake. But yeah, it's been it's good, man. I always like this time of year, man. I smell the sweets baking as we speak.
And Coach, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. And
how was the game? You went to a game. Coach experienced the game.
Yes, I did go to the Brooklyn game. It was the worst NBA game I've been to. I've been to a few of them, and this was by far the worst for multiple reasons. Why?
I know you weren't happy about the concession prices.
No, who wants to pay almost $10 for a slice of pizza or $8 for a bottle of water, right? Pelly, come on, man. Really, Keith Pelly, come on. Have you seen the economy out there? Our dollar, who just dipped to 69 cents, man.
It's true.
Can we get a break? Can we get a break in some of these games for some of these bad teams? I'll say more specifically the Raptors. Guess not.
Well, hopefully, actually, I got to be careful of what I wish for, because if I say if prices drop, that could mean a few other things. So, I just hope the best for the Raptors. I'll leave it at that. So, yeah, we saw very interesting offensive process from the Raptors this week. The offense kind of started to stall out. I believe RJ was out 2 of these games. He was definitely out tonight, and I think he was not healthy against the Nets. We are also missing Pirtle. Now, the interesting thing is we're actually still in games. Right? So for all those who are saying Pirtle is the one that is holding the roof together of a 7-20 something team, I don't think that is. I'm not saying it's like not going to help to have a center. Obviously, the defensive rebounding and offensive rebounding, and even the playmaking gets a little bit better, but not really seeing that move the needle one way or another. Your guys' thoughts, Coach? I'll go to you first on just the injury stuff, and then beyond, I'll go to you as well.
Well, the injuries have been just the theme of the year. Bruce Brown is supposed to be back now for 3 weeks, and he's yet to step on the court. I keep hearing Blake Murphy say, well, they're being overly cautious with him. That narrative is only going to go so far here on out. 3 weeks is a long time when you're supposed to come back 21 days ago. Pirtle, with kind of what you said, he's very important on this team. I know Beyond has said what he thinks about him as a top 30 center in the league and stuff like that. And it's kind of interesting to see here, though, where this team is at without him, right? It just kind of says about the team right now. RJ, we know he's been sick. Scotty's been hurt quickly. Who knows? It looks like maybe there's some traction on him coming back soon. That could be in the new year. The whole point of this is that we need to see at some point this core. We have not seen them play together. We've not seen this starting five. We have no idea what they're going to look like together, and it's going to take time. I say that because even though you're going into the draft process, you want to draft the best player overall. I still think, to some consideration, you want to pick a person that's probably going to fit with that core to a degree, depending on where that selection is, of course. Obviously, you get number one pick or number two, forget it. Those are easy picks right there. But at some point, you invested a ton of money in Scotty, a ton of money in Quickly. Pirtle's still locked up, RJ's still locked up, and Gradey's still in his rookie contract. It's an expensive lottery team that we have right now, and we have to find out exactly what we have. And on top of that, we have an inexperienced coaching staff that I guess needs to develop more. Like, we're not only developing players, we're trying to develop coaches too.
I totally agree. Beyond, your thoughts?
Oh, where to start?
Yeah.
I think the Raptors are kind of boxing themselves in a very dangerous corner. And what I mean by this is that if we follow the logic and what Coach is saying, basically even just what happened tonight now, if Bruce Brown were to show up now sometime, say, early January, are you really willing to sacrifice minutes of Jacoby Walter at this point for Bruce Brown?
Better not.
Do you want me to answer on behalf of the fan base or my own
Well, there's
thoughts?
different audiences, right? Like, I mean, like, I don't know. I'm not sure what the answer would be. I'm not sure because I think that's depending who you talk to, the answer might be very different.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think that some people are like, I want to see that, whether for trade purposes or not. Thing is we're running out of time for that type of transaction to take place. So you're diminishing returns to the marginal utility, right?
Well,
in other words, with each and every passing game that he's not healthy, you trying to ramp him up to showcase him, you won't have a lot of time to ramp up and showcase him. That might end up, on the flip side, eating into development time for prospects that we talked about. And Bruce Brown is, sometimes he plays small forward, but he's 6'4". He's basically Ochai in the future.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways, there's some things that Ochai is probably better at. I would say Bruce Brown is probably a better defender, to be perfectly honest, and probably a better playmaker. But I think Ochai is right now showing to be a better shooter in specific situations. But that's the similar build, size, starter pack, if you want to, So at some point, both of them are 6'4". They're not really playing small forward on a competitive team that's going to the playoffs. Someone's going, like, where are these minutes being distributed? I don't want to, we've kind of hinted at this a while, but Jacoby has earned enough and shown enough that he should not be losing minutes if he is healthy.
Here's another interesting decision. And I don't know if this guy's actually played bad. He's had good moments. He's had bad moments. But I still don't know why they're trying to, like, kind of force feed Mobo into a center spot. Right? Like, I mean, like, I'm sitting there going, like, you would think, okay, Yak is out. Enter Bruce left. Bruce getting DMPs every night. He's actually getting less time now than ever before. And it's like, well, what are we doing here? Like, and he's still pushing Kelly as a center. We saw it in the second half of the game when he benched Mobo. And I'm sitting there like, what are we doing? So there's always this debate is like, are they doing this on purpose, or in this case, they're really that bad at coaching? Now, I'm not sure. Some days, depending on what mood I'm in, I'm one way or the other. Because these moves don't seem to make sense unless you're truly trying to sabotage your season. Which I don't care. That's up to you, because you know what I'm about, man. I'm here. So, like, whatever way you all want to do it, fine by me. As the old saying goes, we can do this the easy way, we can do this the hard way. I don't care which way you want to do it. If that's what you want to do, so be it. But revelations are starting to happen right now, though. And I don't know. Look, just going to peel off the Band-Aid right now, man. I mean, this is what we wanted to see. We want to get a sense of how this, quote, key players look.
Hey, we're not giving the people what they want. We're giving them what they need.
What they need, man. Like, look, man.
It's a good song, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. I'm always, rest in peace. There's the Levert family and what's going on there, man. It's unfortunate, but But I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, look, man. It's like, if this is the guy, and some of you all might listen to this, might say, hey, man, this was the guy. He's gonna take us to the promised land. If he's the promised land and he's the guy to take us to the promised land, and he's got the staff and everything, so be it. All right. If that's what you want, let's play it out. I'm hearing stuff here. Oh, we could trade for this guy and that guy. No. We ain't trading for anybody, folks.
No.
What you wanted last year, this is what you're gonna get, and we gonna find out by hook or crook, if he can sink or swim. And right now, let me tell you something. He's doing some hard doggy paddling right now, man, because they don't look right now too great at the moment. Because what I'm seeing out here in these streets, let's put it away. It's becoming very, very interesting on how, to use your term, interesting on how things are looking and how they're planning to approach things moving forward. Because I think the draft pick will tell us a lot on exactly what they think of Scotty. And that's going to, this draft pick this year is going to tell us a lot.
It will depend on who's making the pick.
Well, that's a whole nother discussion. Yeah, I mean, that one's for later. That one might be later in the spring for that discussion. But yeah, but if it's the group that we got right now, I'm hoping, I'm praying, to the sports gods or whomever else, that they actually see what they are trying to see here. Coach, you had a very cryptic tweet, but I get what you're saying. That you see what you got to see, that you can make the decision that you need to make. And sometimes, you might have to say, you know what? Fine. He may not be the guy. Could he be one of the guys? Could be one of the other guys that are part of the key group? Yes, he could be one of those guys. But I think at some point you have to make a decision psychologically as a management and say, you know what? He's not the guy. We have to go out there and find the guy. And I think right now, that is looking more and more obvious with each and every week. I don't know what people think. If people think he's having as good a season as he was last year, I don't think anyone can actually say that, honestly. I don't care if the points tell you so or not, but he has had some struggling games this year. And the sad part about it is the defense is not even trying to double him. They're playing him single coverage. And the second part of it is, and you mentioned it again, and it happened again tonight, Kenyon, the key defensive guy on the other side, the kind of the defensive weapon for the other team, who was he guarding?
Right.
Dylan Brooks was guarding who? Gradey Dick. He wasn't guarding Scotty Barnes. All right? We see it with Minnesota McDaniels. We've seen it every time.
Let's contextualize this a little bit. So one of the reasons why is because Gradey can his gravity will pull guys off of the primary ball handler, whether it's Scotty or RJ. Now, since RJ is not in the lineup, we're going to focus on Scotty right now. The challenge right now is Scotty really likes to pass. He doesn't always like to assert himself. Part of that in our opinion, I mean, I'm not in his brain right now, but part of that is I don't think that he's comfortable enough with his handle or his bag or however you want to frame it to really get and create for himself, which is why you see the offense kind of slow down a little bit, ticker slowly down, and you see longer half court possessions being run because he doesn't know how. And to be honest, someone else even pointed this out to me. He part of the reason why he's taking this many threes, like tonight, he was
0 for 8, I think.
not good from three.
Right?
He was 0 for 8. That's not good, obviously, but to add to that, I don't think he got to the line a whole ton either.
Not late the line about.
He got to the line 4 times, but most of that was fourth quarter stuff. He's not doing it in a way that is forcing defenses to bend either. And so if you're an opposing defense, you're going to just focus on Gradey or just cover the post entry passing lanes. I've said this forever, whether it's Barnes, Shed, name a person on this team. There is very few people who can make a post entry pass. There's few people in the league that can make a post entry pass these days. It is a dying art, which is unfortunate. And there's a discussion that we will have one day that goes into why I personally think that ratings might be down in this league, which has to do with fundamentals coming into the league. But I'm going to focus today on the Raptors. We currently struggle in the half court because we don't have any creators. And when RJ's out, it's even tougher. I mean, Jacoby Walter. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Can I challenge that point about we don't have creators? Do we not have creators, or in this case, have people not got the opportunity to create? They're two different statements because I think there's possible creators on this team that have not had the opportunity to create.
In the starting 5, when everyone is healthy, we have limited amounts of creators. And the creators that we have, for example, RJ is limited with how he creates too. He can create, but he creates in like a very narrow set of parameters where he's going to the rim. He's going to the rim.
So I'm gonna push. Okay, so if we're in the development phase that everyone keeps telling me about, including Darko, Messiah, and everyone else, why are we not allowing possessions in this case to put the ball in Grady's hands or now even Walter's hands and see what they do? Well, I think between the two of them today, they had almost 10 assists.
Well, I think that this is it's actually a good question for Coach. You know, like what are you saying, man?
In terms of the lack of creation or what we have?
Opportunity to create, I guess, is what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
I mean, Jacoby's able to create, kind of get his own shot. He's been able to do that, probably of the best that we've seen at times this year. I've seen Gradey more so a little earlier in the year. He looked like he was the best individual shot creator on the team. He was getting a 3, getting a mid range. He was going at the rim, even though the rim numbers are okay. They could be a lot better, but they're okay for now. So I just think part of this is this offense too. Does it really set up for individual creation? Because I'm pretty sure we were last in ISO basketball. The Washington Wizards are better than us right now.
Okay, so let me flip it and let me get more explicit in what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, and I know this will never happen because in this case we have a zealot as coach in this case here, so it'll never happen. But in my mind, with what he's working with, I would flip it around. I would let someone like Gradey handle the ball more and let Scotty play off the ball because his best straight round is catch and shoots.
Yeah, but in general, Scotty doesn't move a lot. He's not like running around screens and stuff, so he's not a great off-ball player.
No, I'm not saying
that's the truth of the matter.
I'm saying for him to sit at the wing in this case or at the side and catch and shoot threes. Because essentially, the role I'm asking for Gradey to play is the role in this case that Siakam was playing last year for Scotty. That's essentially the role. He's on the ball, and I mean, at times if Walter is starting to show that too, I would put him in that same block too, especially since RJ's not around. And and when RJ's back, I will put him in that group and let Scotty play off of them. Having it the other way around creates two problems. One is, to the first point you mentioned, Scotty can't create on his own. Yeah, right. So now you're now running around here, and the clock's burning the shot clock to try to find some advantage for him, and it's burning, it's burning, it's burning. The second problem is when he gets the ball, he gets trapped in a situation. There's no logical purpose where the ball will go. So you'll see like possession after possession where guys in this case like Gradey, sometimes Walter, not likely RJ because RJ is always looking to feed in this case here. He can find a way to get his shots, but those guys will go 3, 4, 5 possessions without touching the ball. And for a team that has such few offensive weapons, that's not something that's actually just downright. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. Irresponsible. That shouldn't happen.
Madness.
Yes. Right? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's like, so I'm just thinking, like, why don't you flip it? And that's what he was doing. That's what was happening. I'm not sure what was happening that was happening by Darko's thing. I think it's just that the players figured that out. And they worked with Siakam as the season went on, and Scotty's numbers were actually better because he didn't have to have that same type of thing. But they're going to do it this way. They want the reps for Scotty, fine. But at some point, I think you got to look at it. If Darko really wants to get wins, like, dude, we got to try something else.
So, yeah, I mean, if they want to get wins, you need to try something else. If you're looking long term or even like in the near future, you do kind of have to go through this with Barnes. You have to, like I've said it time and time again, you have to give him as many reps on ball as possible to see what he is, how to do it, and also for him to have as much, it's like did you have enough medicine today? Take another spoonful of NyQuil, right? Was it Dynatap or whatever it was as a kid? It tastes like nasty, grape. You need this is basically what we're doing right now. But the one thing I will say is you put him in the corner. He's shooting 33% this year on 9 shots in the corner. The other side of the corner, he's shooting 0, which is 0 of 3. He doesn't have the volume in the corners to really know what he is as a corner shooter. And then the thing is that because he's his feet are quite large. I don't think he's really ever been a good catch and shoot player, especially for someone where we've talked about he doesn't always have the control over his body in the corners. So,
I mean, the corner is one thing, but you can still play him off of like the 3 extended in this case where he likes to shoot the 3 from there, like
like above the break, but on the
break, above the break 3
side,
over here, especially on the left hand side. That seems to be his sweet spot.
But that's still 29%. And on the other side, it's 23% this year.
We got to start from somewhere, right? If that's his comfort zone at the moment, start from there. But at least to catch and shoot from there. Last year, he was feeding off of that spot.
He was 36.7, and then above the break, even this year, is his best spot. And last year, that was 38.
So, even if he's on the weak side there, and the other guy's working on the other side, fine. Whichever side it happens to be. All I'm saying is that right now, based on where he's at in his game, like at some point you have to make some tweaks, and you have to kind of start playing. And in some spells, with RJ out there for sure, he does do that. Yeah. If Grady's got going, sometimes he's in that mode. If Grady's got going, but not so much. But I think if I'm I'm trying to get W's, I gotta start looking at that a lot more in this case here because to your point about the reps, at some point, let's face it. I don't know. You guys tell me. I'll throw it the coach in this case here. Do you not think the reps? This is the one season for the reps. Like, we can't be going through reps next season.
This is it. It's even for Darko. This has to be it too.
Okay.
You can't bring in potentially Cooper Flagg or Dylan Harper and have his nonsense of calling challenges in the second and third quarter. You can't. I'm at the Brooklyn game. He did the same thing. I sit around a bunch of people, and I think they kind of looked at me funny. But why are you calling in a close game? Or in our friend Mouth of the North called it one time too. We were up 25 points. Yes. Why are you calling the challenge when you're up 25? You save those things always for the last 5 minutes of the game when you actually need it, especially if it's very close. If it's a very close question.
Do you think his emotions get to him?
That's a good question.
It could be that, but I think he gives him the pressure too. You see the players. I don't know how many times I've seen Scotty say, like, challenge it, or Davion will say, challenge it. There's this aspect of the coach where you want to trust your player, but at the same time, you're probably going to have better strategy with that, just the way it is.
And then
exactly. Your point about Scotty, though, I mean, in his last 2 games, I see he's attempted 9 shots in the paint. At 15 threes. 9 shots at the paint and 15 shots outside the 3. It's a lot for in 2 games, and he struggled these last 2 games. And I'll give some of that's probably a bit injury related because he couldn't beat anybody off the dribble in the Brooklyn game. I was there, I watched it, and I'm watching it tonight too. At spurts at the end of the game, maybe there was a bit more of trying to get to the hoop, but I just worry a little bit as well if he's still hurt, and looked like a fairly serious ankle injury. Why are you playing him at 7-21 right now? Why'd you let him heal to the new year when he's going to be more fresh?
I
I
got
mean, I kept hearing this year how it's rebuild, rebuild, rebuild.
I got a theory, but I'll leave that one alone.
I have a theory too, but I worry about you don't mess around with ankle injuries. I know they have better medicine and treatment and stuff like that for it today, but all it takes is another bad ankle injury,
I
and
just
that
say
could
that
be
I'll also say that you definitely don't want it to the Pirtle point. Not that we've talked about him much, but um, groin injuries are probably the like a little tougher because it's like
yep.
it's tougher to kind of ramp up from a groin injury. You just kind of have to let it heal and then just
Yes.
do right, balanced stretching essentially. But yeah, beyond you were gonna say something.
no, Coach, go ahead. Finish up what you're saying.
No, it's just I keep hearing how this is a rebuild year, and I know it is.
Yeah.
Messiah has said it over and over and over again. Hurdle has said it. Darko has said it. Everybody has said it. You want to be careful with this young man's career. He may really want to play, and if that's the
Mhm.
case, he really wants to play. I see like how that is a good thing, but if you got to take the long term approach with this, so just take a couple more weeks off or take a week off. They got no problem doing that with Bruce Brown. They had no problem doing that with anybody else. So even if it's just sit to the new year, let your ankle heal, and then we'll ramp you up, and then we'll get going to see because you have to find out. Keep saying it, but Kenyon is right. You build around a core. You don't build around a player. The only exception to that maybe is like a Wemby right now with the Spurs. Build around your core, but you got to find out what this is because that affects draft process, that affects trades, that affects free agency. So
You may not. Here's the problem. You might not, just because of the luck of the draw, ever find out what this is. And to Beyond's point, you don't want to say that happens. Sorry, not wishing bad luck on anyone. But say Emmanuel quickly comes back, gets hurt again, he's out for the year. That's it. You're never finding out. Like at that point, like whoever comes in this upcoming year, if it's one of the guys who could be a guard or something like that, or push someone one way or another, you can't wait another year to see like how does it all look because you may not have that time with another top four pick because top four picks usually play, especially on bad teams, and we're not good enough to suppress a top four guy. Like I'm sorry, we're just not. I wish we were. That'd be nice, but we're not currently there unless you have meteoric leaps from like three different guys on this roster, even beyond Barnes. I don't see us taking like a massive leap. Now I know some people are saying like, oh, the Raptors are underperforming relative to their expected like wins or that kind of. Sure, okay. So the expected wins is supposed to be 10 and 18. That still sucks. Like, oh, okay, we're arguing over 10 and 18. That
Well,
I think with some of the games they've been in, though, they have played hard. And I know Jack had mentioned it on the broadcast. He spoke to the
mm-hmm.
Ron Rothstein, who's a forever NBA coach, and he was saying the Raptors this year play very hard. They're just not that good. They don't have
Right,
enough talent. And we were talking about this back in the summer. I remember someone had hosted a space, and he kind of challenged me on. He said he kind of disagreed. I said, no, you need to add more talent to this team. You're not going to compete with Boston or
but
Milwaukee
young
or
teams
Cleveland
play
or
hard.
Orlando. Yep, they do. They typically do, which is a good thing to see.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. You don't have enough talent. That's the biggest
No,
thing right now. You're too small with your guards. You're too small with your bigs. You can't shoot as a team. I think we're still probably in the bottom 20 3-point shooting. And the game, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, just the way it is, game's gone very much to the perimeter. It's not in the post anymore.
yeah.
um,
I mean, I'll also say just to spread the love around here. Like, just in terms of the game that we just watched, the Houston game. I mean, there were times when I saw Barnes give it to Boucher up at the top. Boucher's making a bad decision too. It's like we don't have anyone who is making good decision makers. This is why we need talent.
See, and this is where I'm going to go and give some love to some guys. As I said before, I'm going to cut the young fellas in this case.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Sure.
it's like, I don't know why this is the case. It's almost like you get punished when you have too much talent on this team. Like, it's
On
like,
this team, yeah.
this particular team, like this, like Darko in this case, if you're talented, Darko's like, oh, pretty much almost like, oh, I'm going to break you type of thing. Like, well, break what? Right? So, for example, I'm not going to go over the Precious thing too much, but like Precious or Mobo in this case
That's painful, man.
you automatically get to be hubs of offenses with no sort of like understanding, no sort of like have you earned it type of thing.
Yeah.
And then
Jonathan Mobo, who's like the 6'5" center.
right. And then guys in this case here, be it Jacoby
Who
or
can't
Gradey,
shoot.
Jacoby or Gradey have to kind of like earn their stripes to get more possessions. Like, really? But Davion Mitchell could do where the hell he wants. Like, what are we doing here? So anyway,
Jacoby, though, situation was a little different though this year than the Gradey situation last year. And to your point, Jacoby said, "Mess that. I'm doing it my way." And it's almost either he didn't care or Darko learned his lesson from last year. Because
right.
Gradey went to the G League for 2 weeks.
Right.
And not only that,
going to make.
But he also credit where credit's due. He missed training camp.
Yeah.
As a rookie, that's huge. And he's still coming out and then got finally got one game or 2 games and then like got hurt and then finally is coming back. And credit to him, he just kept working and working and working clearly. And here we are, like he's doing what he is, and he is not afraid to mix it up and get 2 spots and go into contact.
No. He has the ability to draw fouls. He has the ability to score in different spots. And let me tell you something. This goes back to the playmaking discussion I want to talk about. He had about 3 guys on the baseline tonight. Okay, like this is what I'm talking about when you have guys can see the floor. Okay, he hit 3 guys streak at the baseline. I think a couple times with Boucher. I can't remember the third one. It might have been Mobo. And I'm sitting there going like, okay, so we want to keep the ball in his hands more, so we could do what? We give the ball to guys in this case that can't pass or shoot? Like, Kelly Olynyk there that literally just brushed the ball against someone there, and Houston was up the road the other way, but we still want to give the ball to Kelly at this point. Like, I'm just like, what are we doing? That's my thing. But hey, on the positive note, because I don't want to be just on the negative, but the positive, say Jacoby Walter. We always would say, hey, we love the pick. It wasn't our first pick. We know who our guy was. However, he was a nice consolation prize. And we were like, we watched it together there at Kenya, and we're like, okay, well, we can work with this.
We were not upset.
No, and we can work with this, and he's like a guy can attack and stuff like that, and we're seeing it come to fruition now. I think a lot of Raptor fans slept on this young man. I think a lot of the Raptors media slept on this young man. We didn't get a lot of talking. Being seen like, oh shit, and Bobo could do this and be on all rookie teams, all sort of other nonsense in this case here. And it's like, and even
Jacoby can't get no love.
Right, even coaches boys getting more love in this case here. He was going down the G League from.
Oh yeah, people were talking about getting Chomsky in by now.
And I'm sitting there going like, wait, you don't know who had number 1 pick in this case here?
Like Chomsky picked 50 something. The second last dude picked in the draft before Bronny James, right? And suddenly, and they're talking about this dude way more than Jacoby Walter. It doesn't make any sense.
So now everyone now is like they're kind of like when everyone
they've
now
seen
like,
the light.
Yeah, they're all like the lost members of the family now. When you make it rich, it's like, oh, hello, cousin Cliff. Where the hell you come from? Right now, everybody now is
gotta get an autograph.
Right, exactly. So props to Jacoby. I enjoy watching him thoroughly. Yeah. He makes it worthwhile. He and the other gentleman I will mention now, who
he's doing his namesake right.
Oh wow! Yes.
Oh yeah, he getting his
exactly.
But so.
And getting that, so and also his man there giving that big gritty energy. I'll just put it that way. He's doing his thing, and he's been. There's always a play or two every night where Gradey does something that makes my eyes. I jump out my seat. Tonight was the finger roll. My goodness, That
Oh
was
yeah,
fun.
the George
Shades of
Gerving-esque
right
style
there.
thing.
Yeah.
He does it a couple of times. Also, he had 6 assists as well. So
Yeah.
he's actually been ticking up from a playmaking standpoint. One other thing before I go back to coach, just to finish off the Barnes situation, I'm gonna give Will actually a shout on this. He's a viewer of the pod. He pointed this out where it's like, if you're gonna say my neck, my back, my back, my neck, right? I've said to other people who've tweeted at me, then he should sit. But I will go one step further. Will pointed out that, his attitude tonight was not good, which it wasn't. This is where game management and the importance of, another shout out to Will Liu, talking about the accountability and the lack thereof sometimes with the higher levels, with where it should be, instead of always beating up the whipping boy of Gradey or Boucher or something like that. Sometimes you gotta give Barnes some of the business because you're doing no look passes down 11. That's not smart basketball. If you're thinking the basketball of like the highest level of basketball is through Scotty Barnes' eyes, I don't think throwing a no-look pass when they've been picking off and stopping a lot of your post-entry passes all game, that is not good basketball. I expect more from him because I know he can give you more. So I expect more. I will leave it at that.
I'll just say the observation I kept making all night was it was very fun to see that was these two guys. He and Fred pretty much had the same night. Both struggled,
Yes.
right? One was 2 for something 15, the other one was like 1 for 9 or something like that. But if
One
you
for
had to
10.
sit
One,
there
one for 10 for Fred.
1 for 10. If you had to sit there and watch the game, you had no idea in this case here, what their box score looked like at the time. Fred was engaged all day.
Mm-hmm.
Fred was engaged on defense. Fred was engaged in this case running the offense. Fred was finding guys in this case who had the hot hand. Compared to watching what you saw on the other side when it comes to Barnes.
Yeah.
Where it's like, where all of a sudden once things weren't going right, the defense started slipping. The focus is side was like, what are we doing here? Getting passes picked off left, right, and center, for entry passes. Like there was a lack of like concentration, a lack of just like stick-to-itiveness that he lacked. That when you watch Fred was still in the game even when his team was struggling, or even when he was struggling and his team was struggling. And that's where, at least myself, I think maybe you guys on the panel, I won't put words in your mouth, but I think we want to see that type of like, that type of way of sticking with it when things are going tough for you, man.
Well, that's what I
I've
tweeted out
yeah.
tonight. I tweeted out, it's the classic, if your shot is not going down, and he took a lot of threes. And they even mentioned on the broadcast, so people who think that we're just hating on Scotty, well, you could say the same thing, I guess, about Matt and Jack tonight and Will Liu. Get your butt in the post. What else are you going to do besides shoot threes if it's not going for you? It happens to all kinds of players. What else are you going to do to make a difference on offense? Because he has to score for them to win. He will have to do that this year. And if you're not going to make threes, you shouldn't be jacking up probably that many anyway. Um, you got to try to get a pull-up mid-range game at the elbow. You got to try to get in the post. I saw him in the post maybe a couple times tonight, and mainly it was in the second half. Like, you got to change it up, man. You do. You got to add more diversity to your game. It can't just be shooting threes. That goes for him. That would go for RJ as well.
Also goes for Darko. Learn to
And
like
Darko.
adjust.
Yeah, I like William Liu's tweet about so the rookies and Mobo and Walter can get benched early for a bad start, but the same standard isn't
Yep.
applied to the best player. I think some people thought they were going at Scotty. I think he's going at Darko, and I agree. It's that accountability aspect. Darko says that he tries to be accountable with everybody. Well, it's going to have to apply to the best player as well. That's just a reality. It's not a knock against Scotty. This is a knock against Darko and the staff. Hold everybody accountable. I don't think Ime would have a problem doing that.
You always heard of Tim Duncan and Pop, and Pop
Mm-hmm.
coached his team through Tim Duncan. That's how it's done. You can't blame Davion. You can't blame some dude. You can't blame Boucher. You got it. And I'm giving, for those of you who are saying I'm giving too much on Barnes. No, I'm telling you that the coach also, in my opinion, could be a significantly better coach. That is the politest way that I can say it. He is not passed his test as a coach this year.
Well, I'm gonna say I put it on Barnes, so you can come
I
after
no
me.
no no. I'm not saying that I'm not coming after Barnes. I'm saying that for those of you who want to also put it on the coach, that's fine. That I'm just saying, but Barnes has the cachet to do what he wants to do. That's what the second part of my thing was gonna say. So yeah, I don't want to make this a Barnes
Yeah,
centered
no,
thing.
not right. But when it's all said and done, he's making $240 million next year, and they're charging poor coach in this case here about $10 for pizza. So yeah, it matters. It does matter. And that type of effort, yeah. People go home pissed off. In this case, the go train after that. That type of effort.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
if you need a house, you know where they're laying bricks.
right. So I'll leave it there. But I said before, the rookies, we can talk about Walter. Mobo's had up and down year so far, but we'll see. I think they're playing him out of position. I think
Yeah.
early in the year when he's playing on the wing, it was better for him. I think he's having more struggles now playing as a center. Like, I mean, I understand you're short in this case here, but I'd rather have Bruno play those minutes and
I
slide
agree.
the play as a wing position. And if you got to drop Boucher, so be it. So if that's what you want to
Yes.
do. Yeah. So I don't understand that part of it. Shed has come into his own, I think, in the last couple of weeks. I don't think it's a coincidence that as Davion Mitchell is not playing, he's been playing more relaxed. Young players usually play that way when they want to be someone looking over their shoulder getting pulled. To go at the William Lewis tweet. it's like, hey, I know I'm gonna be out here for X amount of minutes.
If
Right.
I'm Masai though, these last few games, and I've been watching them, and again, this isn't about the whole Scotty thing, but it's this whole team thing lately. He's got to be able to come in and say something about just the execution, the turnovers, the maybe how the game management is. A lot of these things, I get it, they're rebuilding, but there's a lot of things that they don't have to do. These are bad habits to build moving forward. And if this is all just oh, we're going to get a good Darko next year, we're going to get a good Scotty next year. I'm not saying he's been bad or anything, but let's just say we're going to get a better version of everybody else. You're not helping the situation by having all these bad habits on the court happening right now, whether it comes from um, challenges with timeouts, poor execution on offense, people standing still, not boxing out on defense, poor rotations. I can keep going on. I am noticing this from my home. I'm noticing this at the game. I don't have to sit on the bench or behind the bench to notice this stuff. This is not a positive trend moving forward. The talent thing is one thing, 'cause you just don't have it, and that's going to have to come with time. But the execution, how you do things right now, is not good. That has to get better.
Yeah. I mean,
What's that?
Coach has spoken.
Fred Van Vliet shouldn't be having in general like the amount of rebounds that he has. Okay. He had 8 rebounds today. That is unacceptable. Part of that comes from a lot of things, honestly, but it's just not acceptable. Some of this is on literally a free throw, and he'll get the rebound after a free throw after they come down. I'm watching right now, and it's like who is coming? It's like if it's a long rebound, fine, but some of this it's like Mobo's right there. You should be getting that, or whoever. It's just he should not be getting 8 rebounds against you in general, and obviously, if you go through that, you could pick out and look at each individual rebound and say, okay, this one or that one, or, maybe I'm being a bit tough. Sure, we can be pedantic and obfuscate all we want until the cows come home. But the team needs to be better. And if it can't be better, then Messiah needs to recognize that and go, and I'm going to say, go back to the drawing board there needs to be a lot of reflection, R for reflection at the end of the year. And you can't go in, if this continues, we don't know. I'm not Nostradamus, but if you get to the end of the year and not much of this has improved, you can't go into next year saying, well, we're going to work on internal development and expect that to solve all the problems. There's certain things, whether it's like mindset or whatever, if you need a damn bull whistle or something, you figure it out. It's as simple as that. You need to figure that out. I'll leave it at that. For the rest of the State of the Union, I guess overall, what are you guys looking forward to for the rest of the season as we go into it? And there's one other thing that is interesting, but maybe we'll talk about it next time, actually, because it has to do with All-Star. So we're going to talk about All-Star then next week. Beyond, you know what I'm talking about. We'll talk about that next week. That's a next week topic.
Oh, you really are, boy.
That's a New Year's topic.
That is a New Year's topic, yes.
So is there anything that I've missed we should cover?
Honestly, no, I think watching the kids just grow, man. I'm just looking forward to that. I mean, obviously I mentioned Walter and Gradey. I think also I put Shed. I think he's really coming along. Which goes to the purpose of I always see Davion Mitchell as a placeholder, and I think it's being proven out right now as he's playing right now with Mitchell. He's getting those minutes. It's been fantastic in that sense. So yeah, that's about it. I mean, hopefully RJ gets back soon and kind of see what happens with him and his campaign this season. He's been playing great, so we'll see.
Coach, your thoughts? I feel like you haven't had enough of a time to chat today, so.
No, I don't know. I felt like no. Look, we have 2 starters right now in the lineup. We need to get 3 of them back. One of them's your point guard, one of them's your center, one of them's your leading scorer on the team. Again, no big final assessment can be made until those 3 are back to see how all of this works out. There are some concerning trends. There are some positive trends. But no final conclusive assessment can be made till all those guys are back to know exactly what you have. And I hope they're all back in the new year. And then I want to see right from New Year to April. What is this?
And what if that doesn't happen?
Well,
and it's very well may not happen, but it makes sure with the money that's involved right now.
You think because you make enough money, you go on vacation and let the interns go there.
With the contracts involved.
Okay.
Yeah. How do you push this forward? Because if Cooper Flagg or Dylan Harper is in next year, you cannot have these mistakes that are going on in this season right now. You cannot.
No. Adrian Griffin got fired very quick.
Yeah.
Potentially too quick.
I guess if it's one of the other draft picks, are we letting Darko slide on that? I'm just curious.
No.
I hope not.
Okay.
He shouldn't. Why?
Huh?
Year 3.
I just wanted clarification for coach.
Say it's Yakashonis.
Right. Yeah, I was just wondering because it's me. I guess I just wanted to.
Anything, you got your man, Darko. So.
Yeah. Oh, he's so safe this year with all the injuries on the team.
Mm-hmm.
He can just coast now. He's all right. It comes next year when everybody's healthy.
But at some point, even with the injuries, if the execution is that bad, right?
Oh, it's bad.
So,
I just think from a management standpoint, they'll say, "Well, they do the whole speech on, well, he's got this excuse and that excuse, and some of it I do get, but that's going to get old real quick, and it's
Coach,
coming."
I have one final question for you. How long do you think that this team, yes, it's up and down and whatnot, say quickly comes back, there's still going to be an adjustment period for that to get used to that. How long can a team like this fight, given their 7-20 something record? We have over triple it actually, the amount of losses than wins thus far. So
What do you mean fight? Fight for what?
game to game, give an effort.
Yep. I'd say take it game by game. I'm trying to win every game with these guys back.
So you think that this team will fight until the end?
I think they will.
Okay.
Until they mathematically can't.
That's coming up quick, man.
No, that's what I mean. When all these guys come back, probably they're
Yep.
going to be fairly far out of it. I mean, they'd have to go on an 8 or 9 game winning streak to likely be back in some sort of play-in spot. Do you guys see that? I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
Could they win 2 in a row with 3 in a row? Maybe at most with all those guys back. Maybe
yeah,
that's not going to be enough.
yeah. It's looking a little rough. That's all I'll say.
You're
But
2 games back of Washington or ahead of Washington. That's how bad it's kind of gone for them. Which in
yeah,
one case, if you really want to rebuild and get into this draft, that's a good thing. If you want to
mm,
develop, if you're worried about poor habits being cemented into the team moving forward, kind of concerning right now.
that's true. Well, I'll leave on this note. The Pelicans ended up losing. So in terms of the tank, a little bit of an L. But if you are hoping that I mean, they're not even in our conference, so it doesn't affect our conference. So it only really affects the tank. So there's that. For those of you who thought that we could catch Indiana, they won in Sacramento. There's obviously conversations about trades and whatnot and potential to get Fox and whatnot. I don't really want to go into that this week. All I'll say is most of those don't make sense. And if you complained at all about spacing or defense, Fox is not solving either of those issues.
Nobody
We
on Sacramento solving them.
He will more than likely get on Sacramento, and personally, I think that this is a contract negotiation that is spilling over into the public. With that being said, it's been an episode on Basketball Rewind. I think we will now be probably looking to shift more towards draft content. I forgot to put a pod out, folks, so sorry. You will get a Christmas miracle gift of a Basketball Rewind draft special for Christmas this year because of when Christmas is on. Enjoy. Stay safe. It is cold out there, especially in these Toronto streets. You know, usually the Toronto streets are, they got it bumping, it's hot and all that kind of stuff, but it's a little cold right now. So stay warm and take care of people. Peace.